When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind at speed, so breathing deep. Then call the damn leads. Call the damn leads.
Hey, welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drewbie Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community, because it's the greatest job on earth. Doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality type, you can create an amazing life in sales. Today's guest, no stranger to the journey. I'd like to welcome Ted Stephany to the show.
Drewbie, thanks for having me. And now I suddenly feel like I may have misled you if this is by sales professionals, for sales professionals, as somebody that's a professional buyer on the other side of the table. Should make for a good conversation.
We're going to have a lot of fun with this either way, so I think this is going to be great, man. I want to jump in. I want to hear your crazy sales story first and foremost.
Oh, about 7 or 8 years ago, I was sitting in your shoes at our regular sales kickoff event for one of the tech companies that I worked at the time. And sure enough, one of the breakout sessions was procurement. So we all huddled around to learn how we were going to deal with procurement. And of course, had all sorts of stories about how these dirty so-and-sos were pinching every penny and just ruining our days. And we decided, you know what, the best way to deal with procurement was to go around them. Cut them out entirely, go around them. They smell anyway, and they're a bunch of ugly folks. So the takeaway was you go around them. Flash forward, here I am, Mr. Procurement, Mr. Sourcing. I can't tell you how wrong that advice was. I can't tell you how wrong that advice was, and we can talk more about why, but I tell you, having been on both sides of the deal desk, we're far more aligned than we are different.
Ooh, this is going to be a fun conversation because I think there is a lot of nuance as a sales professional to working with people who are on the other side of the table, right? As a buyer, we need to understand where you're coming from and what the value of the conversation and the transaction needs to look like. So being on that side of it, tell me a little bit more about, the strategy of going into working with the seller, because I think this is going to be great for those who are paying attention today to understand the psychology from the other side of the table.
Yeah, Drew, I mean, it's a great question. And I think we could spend, I don't know how much time we have today, but we could probably spend a week talking about the dynamics of sales and purchasing. But what I see more often than not is a misalignment when it comes to the entire buying team. And I know that you talk a lot about verticals, expanded selling teams, and buyer groups. But what happens, I think, too often sales professionals get stuck in the gotta sell the value, gotta sell the value, gotta show the value. But they're focused only on the solution and the value to the end user. They fail to grasp the value to the entire buying team. Because in sourcing, what I value might be a little different than what my end users value. And I think far too often sales professionals forget to ask, hey, so what matters most to you here? What matters most to you in sourcing? What are the metrics that you get measured by? What pressures are you under by the CFO or the CIO or your end users? What aren't your end users telling me? And it's those open and honest conversations that I appreciate so much from sales professionals, but they don't happen enough. And there's a lot that can happen in those conversations, whether it's shortcuts. Hey, here's how we're going to shorten this deal cycle down. I'm going to go talk to my friends in legal and security, and we're going to cut in line a little bit. Or here's a potential roadblock that I'm getting from our CIO. We need to watch out for this. I think too often, and rightly so, and that's okay, the sales professional comes in with their guard up, or, oh, here we go again, Ted, looking to pinch a penny or two. And it doesn't have to be that way. Now, I can't speak for everybody in the profession. We all have bad apples around there. But I think if you look at it from a collaborative lens, great things can happen.
Well, and what I love about that is, and again, with sales, everything that you sell is a different conversation. It is a different transaction. And so I love the idea of getting layered in the conversation of who's involved in the decision and what all is actually going to be a part of, where does their perspective around this transaction fall versus, as you mentioned, what are they going to be dealing with? Who's breathing down their neck about something that needs to get done? And it comes to a point of more quality negotiation in a way that's hopefully not like overly aggressive or too pushy, because as you said, if you're only coming in with one direction of like the way that you see this going down, in your case being like, well, hey, I've got certain things that I have to answer to in regards to how much we can spend and what we can logistically handle. I think the ability to ask those questions and understand that there's different layers to it in the sense of how are we asking, what specifically are we asking about? And I think doing the research to be able to say, okay, well, who's all actually involved in this conversation? And so, in the sense of the people that are running into the stalling conversations, what do you think is the biggest reason there?
I think it's, to your point, a failure to plan. I talk to our own sales teams here at the tech company that I work for all the time about bring us in early, bring us in early, bring us in early. And it goes back to the SKO that I attended all those years ago. It's this reluctance to talk to the procurement office. If you bring us in early, then you get a peek behind the curtain. And we can have those conversations about the layers of the deal and where we can potentially expect delay and where we can push. And that's awesome. And that's a great place to be in. Not only that, but I want to be your cheerleader, right? You want to make me your cheerleader beyond just the end user that really likes this shiny new toy. If I'm in those early demonstrations and I can see my stakeholders' eyes light up when they see this feature functionality and how it solves the pain that they're going through, guess what? Then when I go talk to the CFO, when I go talk to the buying committee, I can say, listen, this tool is legit. And then I become your cheerleader because I've seen it in action. I've been part of those early conversations. We know where the deal's going. We're watching out for landmines. It's those early conversations, I think, they don't happen enough. It's, hey, I'm going to throw this over the wall to my procurement team and I'll see you on the other side. I love the sales professionals that ask questions and try to uncover more about the buying process, the challenges. It's a wonderful negotiation skill, and don't take this personally. I think sales professionals, rock stars when it comes to selling. When it comes to negotiating, maybe more like the high school marching band. And there's a lot to unpack there. And I can go on and on about the deficiencies that I see. But asking questions, the more you talk in a negotiation, the weaker your position. And my goodness, on the sales side of the house, we love to talk. But you gotta just shut the hell up. Ask questions, listen, because I'm going to tell you all about my pain and all about the process. And if you're listening, you're going to pick up on ways to strengthen your position, speak to my pain points, and figure out creative ways to move the deal forward.
You have hit a hot button conversation. So I appreciate you going there simply because this is a challenge that high level sales professionals find themselves against all the time, in the balance of how much are you communicating, what questions are you using, and in what order, in order to help make sure that the conversation is flowing in the direction that you're looking for. Because ultimately, from a negotiating standpoint, I need to get to a point with you on the other side of, you feel good about the deal, I feel good about the deal, everyone else involved feels good about the deal, so why wouldn't we want to move forward with this? And I think that's the thing that you had hit the nail on the head. Sales professionals suck at asking questions. And not just like the scripted questions, but being able to listen specifically to what the person is saying, the nuance, the keyword, the specific phrasing, because that all matters. That person's like unconscious mind said it in that way for a reason. And so the more detailed your listening is, the better negotiator you become, because you're communicating in a way that they're appreciative of and processing. So like, how can people who are recognizing that they talk too much now, what are some of the things that they can start doing to become better negotiators in that sense?
Have a plan. Have a plan and structure the deal. There's a wonderful study out there that talks about the process of the deal and how you set that up in terms of who's in the room at what stage will ultimately affect how the deal plays out. And sellers need to pay real attention to how they plan the deal and who's in the room at the right time. Beyond that, and I know you're already doing this, but have you thought through concessions in your head? And we could spend hours talking about pricing and discounting. I love that stuff. But have you thought strategically about how you're going to price for maximum value? Don't be quick to discount. Please don't be quick to discount. Folks far too often throw out discounts. And ultimately, are you talking time as a negotiation term? Time is a term negotiated. So if you want this deal done by the end of the quarter, talk to the procurement person about how you're going to make that happen. And you can do this deal time engineering, as I call it, to help you speed up when you get buy-in from the buying side on the timeline that you want. And it doesn't mean coming at them on a Friday and saying, hey, listen, this is our best and final. I'll tell you, your best and final offer is BS for two reasons. More often than not, it's not. There's going to be some other little concession thrown in there. And now I know your word's not worth a damn. Also, if we're having a conversation and you say best and final, well, we're not having a conversation anymore. You just put an end to the back and forth because you're telling me you don't want to communicate anymore. So there are ways that we can speed up the deal cycle to create urgency. And there are special times when you can say, this is best and final. But if that's the only trick in the book for speeding up to close, you're in trouble. So to go back to the original question about how do you just shut up and listen, you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan to say less, listen more. If I come at you and I say, listen, whoa, that's a high price. I need 50% off that software package. What do I hear most salespeople do? Yeah, that's going to be real tough. I got to go talk to my leadership team. I don't think we're going to be able to do that. I mean, maybe it's just going to be. Just say no. Pull a Nancy Reagan. Just say no. Just say no. And pause. Be comfortable in that silence. No. There's a lot of great things that can happen in that silence when the seller says no to the buyer. You got the confidence to say it. But I really need that 50%. We got to do this. No. And here's what we can do, Drewbie, which is get you at the front of the line with our implementation team. Here's what we can do. We can throw in an additional TAM support for the next quarter. Have the confidence to just say no and sit in that silence and get uncomfortable with it. The average person gets uncomfortable after 6 seconds of silence. So try sitting there in silence for 6 seconds. Great things can happen.
I love this because it's such a simple thing that most people are going to gloss over and go, oh, that's too easy. I can't, I'm not doing that. But that silence is the important thing that other person needs to process what they're going to do next. They have to decide, okay, am I going to keep pushing for the thing that they've already told me no on? Or am I going to try to reiterate, and come at it from maybe 25? Like, they're just trying to figure out what they're going to say next. But if you interrupt them, you're now taking control from them. And again, the idea here is a little give control, take control, just enough to make it feel balanced so that you're not pushing them too far. And I love the idea, as you said, of planning how you're going to handle that no, and the concession of here's some added value that we can provide that you're going to see as useful, knowing that you're getting involved with this product, with this service. And the SaaS example is great. It's like, okay, great. Well, we're going to give you an additional layer of team support. We're going to give you 20 extra seats or whatever. Like, there is where it's like, you're going to grow. So you're going to need those 20 seats, right? You don't need the discount now. You need the 20 seats because once this is here, you're going to be adding 20 more people to your team. And so I love that approach, Ted. That's masterful in the process. And so I really hope that the listeners are paying attention because this is the stuff that matters. And so what I'd be interested in your perspective on is how can a sales professional go back and audit some of the conversations or things that they've been through to look for those nuances that they've missed?
Well, I know there's more tech out there than you can shake a stick at, so to speak, in terms of call coaching, call recording, whisper coaching. What I would encourage everybody to do is take that absolutely seriously. If you're not looking for continual improvement, you're stagnating, and there's no fun in that. I get it. You went to President's Club last year. You're at 111% of quota. You're a rock star, right? I don't think anybody's in this field, though, to sit on their laurels and take it easy. You're looking for that edge, right? You're looking for that little bit of edge. Go check out what Niki Lauda did with F1 racing in the 70s. His continual tweaks to his engine and his car made him the most winning F1 driver ever when he died in 2019. Continual minor tweaks, massive performance advantages. And so as salespeople, look for those little tweaks that you can make. And maybe that's saying no and just sitting tight. When you look back at the conversations you've had, look for places where you've not been able to sit in silence. Look for hedging languages. I don't think we can give you that discount. I don't know if we're going to be able to get that approved. If you're using too much hedging language, you're signaling to the buyer and the procurement team, I'm going to be able to needle a little bit more. They don't sound quite as confident as they should be. So always be looking for those little tweaks that you can make that'll make a massive difference down the end. For example, you and I are both appealing to higher authority. Gosh darn, do we love it when we get into a bind and I say, I'm going to need you to give me 50 extra seats. And you're like, I can't do that. I don't have the authority to do that, but I'll need to get approval. Or you're like, hey, can we close Ted by the end of the quarter? I don't know, Drewbie. I got to go talk to my leadership about that. Okay. In that moment, here's a trick that I want you to try. All right, Drewbie, I understand you have to go talk to leadership. But you will recommend that they accept this proposal, won't you? And right there, you've got to either agree with my proposal or tell me why you don't like it. And then we can continue to dive a little bit deeper into why you don't like the proposal that you just said you're going to take to leadership. Better still, okay, Drewbie, I understand you got to take that to leadership. Which of my points do you think will resonate the most with your leadership? Now I get to hear my arguments coming out of your mouth, and I know that you're going to be my cheerleader when you go to the leadership, and I have a much more, I have a better chance of getting what I want, knowing that you're going to be an advocate for my position with leadership. And that works the same way. If you're a seller talking to Mr. Procurement and they're going to go talk to their leadership, get their buy-in right there on the phone call, or figure out why they're not willing to commit to your point of view.
That's so good. And I love the idea of creating that, champion for you on the other side of the table. Yeah. That is huge. And Ted, we could probably sit here and nerd out on this for many, many hours, but I want to be respectful of your time. And obviously I want to come check out more of your content. I think this has been a fantastic conversation. I've definitely picked up some little things that I look back and go, all right, I'm going to go and do this. I'm adding things to my own repertoire. So I appreciate it. How do we come find you, follow you, check out more of your content?
Sure. You can find me at my website, tedstephany.com. You can find ways to reach out to me there. There's lots of good content. I love talking all things negotiation, all things sales, and would love to be able to help you and your teams out further.
Love it. Simple. We'll make sure that's all down in the show notes so everybody can find it super easy and come check out your stuff. Listen, if you guys enjoyed the show, go share it on social media. Tag me and Ted. Let the world know you spent a little bit of your time here. As we said, that's one of your most valuable assets. So if you did and you liked it, tell someone about it. That means the world to Ted and I. Maybe you know somebody that sucks at negotiating or they don't know when to stop talking. Send them this episode. You don't have to tell them they suck. I'm just saying, send them this episode. Let them know you heard it. You thought about them. You thought they should give it a listen. And then go leave us a review. Tell us what you thought about the show. Subscribe. Listen to all the episodes. Do the things that you know will help you grow in your sales career. And if you have a sales story and you'd like to be a guest on the show, head over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Send us your details. We'll get you booked in. Then go grab a hat, t-shirt, wristband, keychain, something. Support the movement, and we'll see you guys next time. You know what to do. Go pick up the phone. Call the damn leads. We'll see you again.
When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind at speed, so breathing deep. Then call the damn leads. Call the damn leads.